We're here today with Charlene Paolucci, who recently produced a CD entitled Changed by Him. So, can you tell me a little bit about this CD?
I wrote a musical in 1996 entitled The Winemaker, which was eventually performed at the Media Theater for the Performing Arts in Media, Pennsylvania in 1998. The musical was specifically written to appeal to the general public and is about the life of Christ. Those who were impacted by him tell their stories in songs. I changed the title to Changed by Him to better reflect the spirit of the musical, and after 20 years, felt it was time to memorialize a selection of the songs from the musical on a CD. In order to appeal to the general public, the music had to be written in a multicultural, multi-generational way. So there's different styles and genre. Gospel, there's classical, rap. There's even a Jewish wedding song from the original title where Jesus, who I also call Yeshua, turns the water into wine at a wedding in Cana. The Change CD presents the gospel message from start to finish.
That sounds very interesting. Out of curiosity, what was your inspiration for writing this musical?
I was praying for direction in my life in August of '96 when my Heavenly Father, who I also refer to as Jehovah, told me to compose a musical that would reinforce his positive message of hope to the world. I didn't think that was possible because I didn't have a background in composition. I couldn't even play the piano. I still can't to this day. I really thought the Lord had the wrong address, but he let me know that I was the person he chose to do this work. So I told him that if this was really him speaking to me, that he was going to have to show me exactly what he wanted me to do.
So did Jehovah actually help guide you through this process?
Amazingly, he did, and he provided everything that I needed when I needed it every step of the way. Doors miraculously opened at Westchester University, and I had all the equipment that I needed to accomplish this task, and the songs were actually completed by the end of the same year. Jehovah would give me the words first, and then the music would follow, except for one song, Oh Please, where I fasted for 3 days, and then he gave me the words and the music at the same time. After writing the songs, I sequenced and orchestrated them, and by July of 1997, a private concert of Act One was performed for friends and family to gain their feedback. The musical was fully realized in July and August of '98 when I was given the opportunity to present 3 performances at the Media Theater for the Performing Arts, a well-known regional theater in the Philadelphia area.
So, why did it take you so long to produce this CD?
I first looked into recording in 1999, but due to the nature of this project, the cost was so prohibitive that I could not move forward at that time. In addition to this hurdle, I became the caregiver of my parents for the next 15 years, who have now gone on to be with the Lord. However, I soon discovered that when our Heavenly Father calls you to a work, He sees it to completion in His timing.
How so?
In the summer of 2015, I was once again praying for direction, and the first week of August, almost 19 years to the day that I was instructed to write the musical, Jehovah told me to call the same studio that I had contacted 16 years earlier. You can imagine that he and I had a little discussion about it. After all, in 1999, the cost was prohibitive. It was probably double that amount today. I didn't have the money to do it then. Nothing had changed, so why would I do it now? He was very emphatic that he wanted me to call that day. And even though I didn't know what I was going to say, I placed the call. I found out that the studio had a whole week available, only a couple weeks away, which I discovered later was unusual for this studio. When I explained what I wanted in the way of a recording, the woman quoted me a price that I couldn't afford. But she didn't seem to be concerned about this and said that she would keep the time open for me just in case. The very next morning, I was on the phone with a dear friend of mine, and she asked me what I was up to. So I told her what happened the day before, and she asked, well, how much do you need, and when do you need it by? When I called back that morning and talked to the woman and told her I had the money, she didn't seem the least bit surprised. It's all the Lord's doing.
That's quite a story. Have you received direction on what your next step will be?
Presently, I'm praying for what Jehovah wants me to do next. I do know that when I wrote the musical, I was to create a classical piece where the words describing the crucifixion were to come only from the Old Testament prophecies, and 3 Old Testament prophets sing this song. I also knew that I was supposed to make a second version of this with the name Yeshua, where Jesus appears in the songs, so I'm assuming that Jehovah is going to be using this in Middle Eastern countries. I feel that Jehovah's leading me into ministry with this work, and I want to help organizations raise funds for their causes, so I'm making myself available as a speaker to tell my story. Half the proceeds are going to go to these organizations. I received a prophetic word that the CD was going to have a positive impact on children. I've tested this, and even babies become attentive when they listen to the music. Some of my friends have told me that their children and grandchildren just love it.
Well, this has been a very interesting interview. It'll be so exciting to see what Jehovah is going to be doing with your CD and your potential ministry. May your future be a very blessed one.